In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The title of this presentation is Life is Equal to Investment. Now, this presentation is in a series entitled Think, where I encourage people to think and ponder upon matters in an effort for their intelligence to increase and for them to realize the truthfulness of the words of Allah God Almighty in the last revelation to people, the Quran. Now, the topic of this presentation, as I said, is life is equal to investment. Now, let's think about this. All people with different degrees have the following 5 aspects of their life to invest, which are time. All of us, we have time in a certain kind of various degrees. We have health, money, intelligence, patience. Now, all of this, each and every person, he has these 5 kind of aspects of in his life. Now, the people, they invest these 5 aspects in one of these 3 categories. So many people, they invest their time, their health, money, intelligence, patience in themselves, meaning he spends his money such that he would be happier, that to indulge himself. Now, the horrible consequence of this is that a person becomes selfish, meaning that he's always thinking me, 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 and he doesn't care about anybody else, just indulging himself, making himself feel happy, and so forth. The other category that people invest these 5 aspects in other people. For example, he wants to make his boss at work happy, so he spends his money, his health, his time, his intelligence, his patience, pleasing his boss. And the horrible consequence of this is that he can do injustice to other employees, to other people, to achieve this aim. He doesn't care, and his heart becomes so kind of hard, and is always on edge. Always he's in a state of being uneasy, and he's always agitated. And in a second, his boss can turn against him, because he is investing in another person who's changing all the time. Now, the minority of people, they invest their time, health, money, intelligence, patience in the way of Allah God Almighty. So let's see what Allah teaches us. If a person invests his life in the way of Allah, what's the reward of this? Now let's think first about this. About verse number 17 of chapter 64 of the Quran, which reads, "If you lend to Allah God a goodly loan, He will double it for you and will forgive you, and Allah God is most ready to appreciate and to reward, most forbearing." So Allah God Almighty is teaching us here, as we said, that life is like a trade, and the basis of any kind of trade is an investment. So if you give your money in the way of Allah God Almighty by striving to make His word supreme, Allah promises you that He will double it for you and will forgive you, and so plenty of reward. And if we link this to another verse in the Quran, which is verse number 261 of chapter 2 of the Quran, which reads, "The likeness of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah God is as the likeness of a grain. It grows 7 ears, and each ear has 100 grains. Allah God gives manifold increase to whom He pleases, and Allah God is all sufficient for His creatures' needs, all knower." So here Allah again promises that if you put 1 grain, Allah will give it back to you. He gives a beautiful example, having 7 ears, each ear has 100 grains. So the minimum return for your investment is 10 times. So Allah is promising you that the minimum return for your investment 10 times, and to infinity. Allah can reward you infinite times. So, having all of this knowledge, please people think, where do you prefer to invest your time, health, money, intelligence, patience? In yourself, in other people, or in the way of Allah Almighty? You have this information? and Allah blessed you by giving you intelligence and the ability to make decisions. So please make the right decision about where to invest these 5 matters. And to know more details about this topic, please visit my website at www.quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zquran@gmail.com, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.